Okay, so the training agenda is
one quick question is, are you going to record the session or
yes,
record the session first?
I'll do that.
Are you going to, okay, you record the session and send it to us?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, great.
Okay, fine. So this training agenda is, first we'll start with SQL, PLSQL basics, data warehouse, Informatica Powercenter, unit testing, deployment, Unix basic commands, and Unix shell scripting. Then finally we are going to discuss about projects. So this is the training agenda. So if you want to learn Informatica tool, then you should have basic knowledge in all these areas. Okay, so whatever the knowledge is required to work in Informatica, so in this training I am going to give complete this complete about these other technologies also. So with this training you can easily work in Informatica. Fine. So in this demo class, first I will start with what is data warehouse, what type of data we are going to store in data warehouse, what we can do by using data warehouse data. Then we are going to discuss what is Informatica Powercenter tool, okay, and how to use that Informatica Powercenter tool in data warehouse project. Fine. And then we will discuss a little bit in all the other areas. Fine. So
you're going to explain the architecture?
now I am not going to explain the architecture. This is demo class. Once we start the training, then yeah. So this is demo session. Fine. So this is just demo session. I am going to give overview on all about what we are going to learn in this training. Fine. Okay. First, let's start with data warehouse. What is data warehouse? And what type of data we are going to store in data warehouse, and what we can do by using that data warehouse data, that we will discuss. So first, for example, let's say there is an ATM machine. So this is an ATM machine, and this ATM machine is connected to one database. So we have one database. Okay, so whatever the transactions made by the user, all the transactions are going to be loaded in this database. Suppose, let's say today morning user he made one first transaction. So transaction means withdrawing a money or depositing the money through ATM machine. So whatever the transaction made by the user, the same transaction details are going to be loaded into this database. After 1 hour, the same user he made second transaction. The same second transaction details also will be there in this database. After 1 hour, he made third transaction. The same third transaction details also will be there in this database. Like this, for the day, he made around 50 transactions. Assume for the day, user made 50 transactions through the ATM machine. So if he has made 50 transactions, all the 50 transaction details should be there in this database. Right, so all the 50 transaction details should be there in this database. Okay, so now we have all the 50 transactions in this database. At the end of the day, user selected mini statement option in ATM machine. So we have mini statement, right? Mini statement option in ATM machine. So user selected mini statement to see the transaction details. As soon as he selects the mini statement option in ATM machine, user is going to get the mini statement. So that mini statement contains how many transaction details? Is it going to contain all the 50 transaction details or only limited transactions?
50 transactions.
All the 50? No, mini statement contains limited number of transactions. Last 5 transactions or last 10 transactions only. Okay, so it doesn't have all the 50 transactions, or if the user made 1 million transactions, mini statement doesn't have all the 1 million, right? So that contains limited number of transactions. Limited means last 5 transactions or last 10 transactions. Assume this mini statement contains last 10 transactions. User made total 50 transactions for the day, but this mini statement shows last 10 transactions. Why? Why means whatever the database is there here, this database is designed to maintain limited number of transactions. So this database is not designed to maintain all the transaction details. So whatever the database here we have, this database is designed to maintain limited number of transactions. Okay, suppose let's say this user made 1 million transactions from last 1 year. If he has made 1 million transactions, this database also should have 1 million transactions. Suppose let's say user made 1 million transactions. Assume this database also contains 1 million transactions. So if the user made 1 million transactions, now this data, one second, I have lost my connection. Transaction from last 1 year, this database also should have 1 million transactions. Okay, so today if he selects the balance inquiry option through ATM machine, today if he selects the balance inquiry option, as soon as he selects the balance inquiry option, it connects to the database to display the balance. So for this user, how many records are there in the database? Total 1 million records are there. So now assume as soon as he selects the balance inquiry option, at the back on top of the database some select query is going to execute. Because for this user we have 1 million records, assume the select query is going to execute on top of 1 million records to display the result. So how much time select query is going to take to display the result? Will it take time or not?
Yeah.
So it will take time. Since we have 1 million records, it is going to take, assume it is taking 5 minutes time to display the result. I repeat, user made 1 million transactions from last 1 year. If he has made 1 million transaction, all 1 million transaction details will be there in this database. Okay, so now here we have all the 1 million transaction details. Today if he selects the balance inquiry option, it will connect it to the database to display the result. So now because of huge number of data in this database, query is going to take long time to execute or to display the result. Okay, so it is taking 5 minutes time to display the result. So can we wait 5 minutes time to see the balance? No, right? As soon as we select the option, immediately it should have to display the result. So why it is taking time? Because of huge number of records, it is taking long time to display the result. That is the reason this database is designed to maintain limited number of transactions. Even though user made 1 million transactions from last 1 year, if you have designed this database to maintain last 10 transactions or last 20 transactions, okay, so now query is going to execute on top of last 10 or 20 transactions only. Now we are sure, if we are sure that this database doesn't have all the transaction details, because if you are going to maintain all the transaction details, then it is going to take long time to execute. So now, so this database is designed to maintain last 20 transactions. Okay, so even though user made 1 million transactions, now we have only 20 transaction details in this database. In those 20 transaction details, we have all the user account details. Now today if you select the balance inquiry, now tell me, query is going to execute on top of 1 lakh or 20 records?
20 records.
20 records only. So how much time it will take to execute a query on top of 20 records?
Like 10 seconds.
Yeah, fraction of seconds only it will take to display the result. As soon as he selects the balance inquiry, immediately it is going to display the result, because we have less number of data now for that user. So to maintain 20 records in this database, as soon as user made the 21st transaction, first record is going to be deleted from this database. As soon as user made the 22nd transaction, second record is going to be deleted. Yeah, as soon as user made 23rd transaction, third record is going to be deleted. Like this database is designed. So if this database is designed to maintain last 20 transactions only, even though user made 1 million transactions from last 1 year, now today you will be having only 20 transactions. That 20 transactions, I mean like user having all his account details. So now we are sure even though user made 1 million transactions, this database contains limited number of transactions. Okay, fine. Next, now user is requesting for last 1 month transaction details, or last 2 months transaction details, or last 1 year transaction details. Do we have last 1 year transaction details in this database?
No.
No, right? Then from where we will get? So to have last 1 year transaction details in real time, we will be having another database. As soon as user made the first transaction, first record is going to be loaded into the first database. Same first record also going to be loaded into the second database. This is another database. As soon as user made the second transaction, second transaction details are going to be loaded into the first database. Same second transaction details are also going to be loaded into the second database. In the same way, third transaction, fourth transaction, fifth transaction. So like this, whatever the transactions made by the user from last 1 year, all the transactions, first it is going to be loaded into the first database, and then same transaction data also going to be loaded into the second database. In the first database, as soon as user made the 21st transaction, first record is going to be deleted, whereas in the second database, here we are not, yeah, everything is stored. We are not going to delete. From day 1 to till date, we have all the transaction details. So whatever the transaction details are there from day 1 to till date in the second database, can we call this as a historical data?
Yes.
Yes, we can call this as a historical data. So now whichever the database is having the historical data, this database we called it as a data warehouse.
Okay.
Okay, so data warehouse contains historical data. So can we call this first database as a data warehouse?
No.
No. Why?
It has only limited
Yeah, so it has,
amount of data.
yes, it contains only limited number of transactions. So this database we called it as a OLTP database. OLTP means online transaction process.
Okay.
Okay, so now we are sure that OLTP database contains the limited transactions, the latest data or current data, whereas data warehouse contains historical data, right? So
Yes.
now we are sure data warehouse contains historical data. Next, what we can do by using this history? What is the use of storing historical data in data warehouse? Any idea,
If
Alex?
you want to
Yeah, go ahead.
if you want to search for the old data, then it is helpful to retrieve the data.
Exactly. Any other advantages? Alex, do you have any idea? What is the use of storing historical data in data warehouse?
Okay, so the data is stored in data house. There are lots of number, as you said, from the first record, first connection to the last.
Yes.
So then the research can search and find out.
Yeah, yes. So we have all the data in data warehouse, that is historical data. Now we will see what is the use of this storing historical data in data warehouse. Okay, fine. So we have another ATM machine in another location. We have another ATM, one more ATM machine. So this ATM machine is in US location, and this ATM machine is in India location, and this ATM machine is in UK location. Like this, we have 3 ATM machines belongs to same bank in 3 different locations. First, all these 3 ATM machines are connected to OLTP database. All these 3 ATM machines are connected to OLTP database, and then from OLTP to data warehouse we have connected. So that means now in data warehouse we have history of all these 3 ATM machines, right? If you have connected all these 3 ATM machines from OLTP to data warehouse, that means in data warehouse we have history of these 3 ATM machines. Okay, again my audio connection has lost. So now in data warehouse we have history of these 3 ATM machines. Okay, so now we have history like this. For example, in the year of 2001, in the year of 2001, from this location, US location, we have around 120 transactions. Okay, I repeat, in the year of 2001, from US location machine, how many transactions are there? 120. In the same way, from India location, we have around 100 transactions. From UK location, we have around some 30 transactions. Okay, in the next year, that is in the year of 2002, from this location, we have around 100 transactions. From this location, we have around 150 transactions. From this location, we have around 40 transactions. In the same way, in the next year, in the year of 2003, from this location, we have around 150. From this location, we have around 80 transactions. From this location, we have 20 transactions. Like this, we have 3 years of transaction details in data warehouse belongs to these 3 ATM machines. So we have 3 years of transaction details in data warehouse belongs to these 3 ATM machines like this. Okay, so now since these 3 ATM machines are belongs to same bank, they have some cutoff transactions. If the transactions are greater than 50, then that center is going in profits. If the transactions are less than 50, then that center is running in loss. Like this, they have some cutoff transactions. Now by seeing this cutoff transactions, you tell me in the next year, that is in the year of 2004, which machine we should have to keep and which machine we should have to remove to keep the business in profits.
We can keep US
Yes.
machine,
Yeah.
and we can also keep India machine.
Yes.
But the UK machine we got
Yeah.
lost with
Yes, exactly. So we can keep these 2 machines and we can remove this machine, because if you are keep on maintaining this machine, it's already in loss, then company will be in loss if you are maintaining this location machine. Okay, how you are telling? By seeing this transaction or by seeing this historical data and by seeing this cutoff transaction, you are making the decision here. Okay, so how you are making the decision? By seeing this data. Whatever the data here we have, can we call this as a report?
Yeah.
Okay, so we can call this as a report. From where we have generated this report?
From the past years.
From the data warehouse. So from the data warehouse, we can generate a report. What is the use of report?
We can tell the
We,
profit or
yeah, we can analyze the business. By seeing this report, we can do analysis and we can make the decision on the business to keep the business in profits.
okay.
If we do not have these kind of reports, then is it possible to make the decision on business?
No.
No, it's very difficult. So also, can we generate a report on OLTP data?
No.
No, because in OLTP we have only limited number of transactions. So to generate a report, we need to have historical data. By seeing 2 or 3 years of transaction details, we can make the decision. So that is the reason we need to have data warehouse.
Okay.
Clear?
Yes.
So now you have an idea what is data warehouse, what type of data we are going to store in data warehouse, what we can do by using data warehouse data. Right? Yes.
Who is designing the data warehouse table, or what is the table record that will be pulled from the 3 tables?
Yeah, data warehouse tables, it is not Informatica developers responsibility, it's DBS responsibility. Database administrators will be there, so they are like in DBS they have architects will design the data models and DBS will create the tables. So we are not going to design the data models and tables and all. So we are Informatica developers, we just create the mappings to load the data from one database to another database.
I see. Okay, good to know.
Okay, so that is now here I have given the overview of data warehouse. Next, coming to Informatica Powercenter. What is Informatica Powercenter? Which tool we call it as? Can we call this as a ETL tool? Have you ever heard about ETL?
Yes. Yeah.
What is meant by ETL? ETL means extract, transform, load. Extracting the data from one database, transfer and load into another database is called ETL. Okay, so whatever the transactions made by the user, the transaction details are going to be loaded into OLTP database. The same one, first transaction, second transaction, third transaction, all the transactions we also have to load into data warehouse, right? Who will load? How we are going to load? With the help of Informatica. Okay, so ETL is a tool to extract the data, that means to select the data from OLTP database, transfer and load into a data warehouse. So here we use Informatica Powercenter tool. Okay, it's not like only OLTP and data warehouse. In between OLTP and data warehouse, we have some other databases also. But generally, this Informatica tool is used to transfer the data from one database to another database. While transferring the data from one database to another database, we have n number of scenarios. For example, let's say in OLTP database, we have a table like this. EMP_yes, employee number, employee name and salary. So we have a table in OLTP database like this.
Do we have write a program in Informatica, or tool has all the function? We don't have to write our own code to do ETL.
Sorry?
So doing the ETL, so using Informatica, do we write code, our own code in Informatica?
Yeah, that we will discuss. So we are not going to write any code here. This is not a programming language. This is a tool. But sometimes it may require to write SQL queries. Okay, what SQL query, that we will discuss. See here in OLTP, let's say we have this table EMP_yes. If you observe in this table, we have duplicate records, right? These two are the duplicate records. Okay, so already we have 1A100, 2B200, but still again we have here 1A100, 2B200. So these two we called it as a duplicate records. If you use Informatica tool to load, okay, again it has lost. Then data warehouse, on top of data warehouse reporting team, they are going to generate the report. So if you have invalid data like this, then we are going to have invalid reports in data in this reports. So that's the reason we should have to load only valid data into the data warehouse. So in Informatica tool, we have to set to select only distinct records, not all the records, not duplicate records. That we should have to know what option we have to select in Informatica tool to select the distinct records. Okay, also sometimes I don't want to load all the records. I want to load the records where salary greater than 100. So for that you have to write some query, select star from this table, source table, where salary greater than 100. So as per the requirement, we have to load the records where salary greater than 100. So this is one of the SQL query. So we have an option in Informatica tool to write SQL query. If you write this SQL query, then that tool will execute the SQL query first, and whatever the records written by this SQL query, these records only it is going to load into the data warehouse. So that is the reason we also have to know some basic knowledge of SQL, writing the SQL queries. So that is the reason. Yeah.
To verify all the data, whether it's loaded correctly or not.
Yeah, yes, after loading the data, we can also verify whether the data loaded correctly or not by using Informatica tool, or in the database also you can verify whether all the records had loaded properly or not. Okay, so depends on the requirement, we can also write some basic SQL queries in Informatica tool. So whatever the queries we are going to write, so those SQL queries we are going to discuss in this SQL training. Right, so from SQL we are going to discuss some basic SQL queries, and like SQL functions, SQL operators, Okay, so SQL joins, normal join, left outer, right outer, these SQL concepts and all we are going to discuss in SQL class. Also we are going to see how we can improve the query performance. Sometimes whatever the query we write in Informatica, that query will take long time to execute. So to improve the query performance, what steps we have to implement, all those things we will be discussing in SQL class. Then coming to PLSQL, in PLSQL we have many concepts like cursors, packages, triggers, functions, procedures and all. Out of this, for Informatica developer, you should have to know what is PLSQL stored procedure, how to create a stored procedure, how to execute that stored procedure in Informatica, and what are the scenarios in Informatica to use the stored procedure. So from PLSQL we are going to discuss only about stored procedure. Okay, then data warehouse, here I have given the overview about data warehouse. Once we start data warehouse, in between this OLTP and data warehouse we have another databases, and also in data warehouse we will be having dimensions and facts, and we are going to discuss the what types of dimensions, types of facts, types of schemas, all these things we have in data warehouse. So those things we will be discussing in data warehouse. Coming to Informatica, here I have given what is the overview of Informatica, what is the Informatica tool. Once we start Informatica, in Informatica we have around 30 transformations are nothing but business logics. To load the data from source to target, we should have to use at least one of the transformation. So we have around 30 transformations in Informatica. So whole this Informatica training we are going to discuss these 30 transformations functionalities, and parallelly we are also going to implement those transformations in real-time scenarios. And also in Informatica we use Unix. Sometimes most experienced people will write Unix shell script. Okay, so in this Informatica training we are also going to discuss what are the scenarios we use Unix shell script, and those shell script I am going to share, and we are going to discuss about those Unix shell scripts in Unix class. And also in Informatica, not only the tables, relational tables, we load the data from one table to another table, right? Not only tables, we are also going to discuss about flat files. So like XML file, CSV file, different types of delimiters files. Okay, so if we have the source is a flat file, how we can load the data from file to a table. So these things we are also going to discuss in this Informatica training. Then coming to unit testing, so from unit testing, like as a Informatica developer we should have to perform some basic standard unit test cases. Max 10 test cases will be there. Testing means, like here we have 5 records in this table, so we are expecting to load 3 records, only distinct records. After successful of execution we have to verify whether all the distinct records loaded or not in target. So if it has loaded, your test case is pass. So like that we have max 10 standard test cases. We are going to discuss those 10 standard test cases in unit testing class. Next, coming to deployment. Deployment means generally in real time we are developers, so we will be having the databases like this: dev, QA, UAT and prod. So we develop the code in dev environment. Okay, so once it is working fine as expected, then we have to load the same into QA database. QA means here testing team, so they are going to test so quality analysis. So testing team, they are going to test our code. So if it is working fine, then again we have to move it to UAT, user acceptance test. Here client is going to validate whether it is returning the expected output or not. If client also validated, if he says yes it is working fine, then finally we have to move it to production or live. So moving the code or moving the mappings, whatever we create in Informatica, from moving the mappings from one database to another database or from one environment to another environment is called deployment. So this also developer has to know how, after developing, how we can move our mappings from one environment to another environment. So these and all we will discuss in deployment class. Then coming to Unix, as we discussed, like some basic Unix shell script knowledge is required, and also as we know, like Informatica server software will be there in Unix system in most of the company, not most of all the times. server would be in Unix system, client will be in Windows system. So to interact with the Unix system, you should have some basic Unix commands knowledge, like what is the command to create a directory, creating a file, loading the data into a file, downloading a file, uploading a file, and writing a data into a file, setting a permission to a file, searching for a file inside a directory. So like this, some basic commands are there. So we are going to discuss those basic Unix commands, and 5 standard Unix shell script and 5 scenarios where we use Unix in Informatica. Those we will be discussing in Unix class.
Are we using Windows to run Informatica, or we use Linux?
We develop the Informatica mappings in Windows. Once it is developed in Windows, then we have to load all those Informatica in Linux or Unix system, that is into the server.
Right. But for us, for the class,
Mm-hmm.
we do exercise. What should we do? We install Linux, VMware, or how we do?
So that I will tell. 1 second. So how we are going to do is, so we are going to first let me finish this one, so then we will discuss that one, installation. Okay, so here we are talking about Unix, so we are going to discuss those basic Unix commands and some standard Unix shell scripts. Then coming to projects, so first we will discuss the roles and responsibilities of development project, migration project, production support project, and pure support project. And then I'm going to explain 2 projects, business, one is manufacturing, the other one is pharma domain project. Okay, and then in those projects, what are the mappings you are going to create? So those mappings we already going to discuss in this Informatica training, and the same mappings we are going to discuss in these projects also. So with this we are going to complete our Informatica training. So this training duration is 30 working days, and it is daily 2 hours training. Okay, so that means total 60 hours training. Okay, then in all these areas I have softwares and soft copies. So I am going to share the Oracle software, Informatica server software, client software, and to practice Unix I am going to share Cygwin software. There you can practice Unix also, and I will be installing all these softwares in your system, and I will be sharing the materials, soft copy materials. Okay, so that helps to practice in your system. Yeah, now you can ask your questions.
Yeah. So you have 30 working days, 2 hours. Okay. When we start?
So that's what actually there is one batch going on, that is 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. CST every day. Okay, so the regular time is 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. CST.
PST, right? 7:30 to 9:30 PST is the Pacific. I'm in Los Angeles, right?
This is central, not Pacific.
Oh, pardon me? Oh, so the new session. What am I talking about? The new session.
Yeah, so this, whatever the current batch is there, this will take to finish in another, I mean like max 1 week. Maybe in the next week, Wednesday or Thursday, I'm going to finish the current batch. Okay, so that's why I'm planning to take for you, I mean like till the current batch completes, for you it would be